Assalamu alaikum. So today I'm going to talk about empathy gap. So what is empathy gap? Empathy gap is a condition in which a person underestimates the influence of visual factors. So what are visual factors? I'm going to talk about it later. But first I give you an example. When we are in a state of anger, we do things that are very harmful for us, and we do things that we would know we won't do normally. So why? Why we do things that we won't do normally in a state of anger? It's basically because we underestimate the influence of it. We don't plan beforehand, and we don't know how to react in such situation. So if we plan that what we will do in anger, we will have a better response in the state of anger. Now, so human understanding is state dependent. Like when we get into a separate state, our thinking and our thought process changes drastically. Now, I'm going to talk about what are visceral factors. So, visceral factors, the most important ones are sexual arousal, memory, and addiction. These are the most important visceral factors. If someone is in the state of addiction, no matter, for example, if someone use cigarettes, and if you say doing cigarette is a kind of addiction, and when you tell them that it's causes cancer, even though they know, they won't leave the cigarette, they won't stop smoking. So these visceral factors play a lot of role in human behavior and how the human interact with other person and other human being. Now it has of two types basically, and that is hot to cold and cold to hot. Now in the hot to cold type, the person is in the state of a visceral factor. It is under influence of a visceral factor. In this condition, he doesn't understand that his idea, his goal of life is purely based on this visceral factor. These short-term goals that he want to achieve is because of this visceral factor. In cold to hot, the person does not think like how he will react, or how he may underestimate the value that if he ever get into the visceral factor, get into the influence of visceral factor, how he will react to it. So empathy gap is classified into three types: and intrapersonal perspective, interpersonal retrospective, and interpersonal perspective. In intrapersonal perspective, the person cannot predict his future when he is in a influence of a visceral factor, and it is quite dangerous, and I will explain why. Now in intrapersonal retrospective, the person fail to recall what was his behavior in a state of influence of a visceral factor. And in interpersonal perspective, a person cannot see or evaluate a person that is in a separate state of mind, or in a separate influence of a visceral factor. So what are the consequences of empathy gap? I mentioned three important visceral factors: memory, sexual arousal, and addiction. So if a person is under influence of a certain memory, he try to evaluate his whole life according to that memory, under that influence of the memory, and that can be very, very harmful. The second most important visceral factor is sexual arousal. When a person is sexually aroused or in the state of love, the person's short-term goals change drastically. He wants to get his love interest, so much so that he ignored his long-term goals, and that can be really, really harmful for his life. Now the third important visceral factor is addiction, and addiction is of many types, and I already mentioned the example of smoking. If a person knows that the smoking causes cancer and causes thousands of deaths early in US alone, but he still smokes. So we have to know the visceral factors, we have to know how to deal with it, and have to know how to counteract with it. To do that, we have to understand that our mind is state dependent. Means that our brain orient ourselves under the influence of external factors. So we have to know that we have to do something to counteract this.